Hey guys. So I recently went through the book of Genesis, and when I got to the end, there was a specific verse that has been resonating with me since I read it, and I've continued to kind of allow it to kind of work within me. And that is Genesis chapter 50, verse 20. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. I love that version. That specific version comes from the NIV, if I'm not mistaken. I love the way it says it. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. And the context of this verse is that the majority of the last quarter, maybe a little bit more than that, of Genesis is Joseph's story. And Joseph, who is basically just done wrong by his brothers, and then in the end comes to just forgiving them wholeheartedly and loving them and wanting nothing but the best for them and their father. And so that verse is a response from him to them. You intended to harm me, but God was on my side. He intended it for good. And I think that's so beautiful. There are so many other verses that were coming to mind also with that same kind of premise or idea. Romans 8:31. If God is for us, who can be against us? If God is for you and you are following the will that He has for your life, nothing can be against that. Nothing can go against what it is that He has for you. Another one that along the same lines, Romans 11:29, for the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. The things that God gives to you, the gifts He bestows upon you cannot be taken away. Those things are yours and they belong to you. So what God wills cannot be undone. My friends and I were doing a Bible study through the book of Esther, and it's been very, very fruitful, I think, for us to just go through it and talk about her story and read that book. And this concept that I'm talking to you guys about right now is all over that book too, which is so interesting because I'm reading through that and I'm like, guys, the dots are connecting here. Everything is connected. But the story of Esther and her cousin Mordecai, as it's talked about in her book, follows this exact thing. Like Haman, this man who was a hater of Jews and wanted to annihilate them, everything that he was planning, everything that he was kind of putting and wanting to happen against them, none of it came to fruition because God knew, and the entire time God had divine protection over them. What God wills to happen cannot be undone. It's just that simple, truly. And the last verse that I wanted to share with y'all on the same vein is Matthew chapter 19, verse 6. What God has joined together, let not man separate. In this context, he's talking about marriage. Two people that God has brought together, let not us try and separate it. But it can be applied to everything. What God has put together, what God has orchestrated, don't even try to take apart. Don't even try to, whatever the case may be. Not that you will ever be successful, because again, what God wills cannot be undone. But don't even try. God is for you, and the things He has for you are beautiful, and the life that you're meant to live, He will create for you to live. Be patient, be expectant, know that what you're waiting on will be delivered to you.